Hey, you're watching This Brand Geek, and in this video, I'm reviewing Community Fibre. Again. Because the last time I reviewed them was in February 2024. It's literally been a year and a half since I posted that review. So, in that review, I told you everything that's good about Community Fibre and everything that's not so good about Community Fibre and things that I would like them to resolve. Well, they've had 18 months now. Have they resolved the issues that I spoke about a year and a half ago? What are their current deals looking like? Should you get Community Fibre? And if you do get Community Fibre, which deal should you go for? And what has my experience with Community Fibre been like in the last year and a half? And what new issues have I faced since then? So stick around for my Community Fibre review update 2025 edition. But first things first, real quick, my wife said that I should style my hair before I film these videos. I said, ain't nobody got time for that. So I found a middle ground. There we go, problem solved. Now you're not watching This Brand Geek, now you're watching This Brand Supermodel. Leave your compliments in the comment section down below. Let's get to the review, shall we? Okay, so looking back at my review from a year and a half ago, I outlined a few issues that Community Fibre had back then. Back then, they were quite new. So they had some teething issues, let's say. So to give you a quick recap, I signed up for the 3 gigabits per second package. I had a couple of issues with installation where they gave me a router that provided speeds of 1 gigabits per second, not 3 gigabits per second, because they didn't have the Technicolor router in stock. It took them about 3 weeks to deliver it and install it, and then everything was up and running at 3 gigabits per second. And that's the plan I remained on for the last year and 5 months. In the last month, I have switched to a new plan, which I'll get into in a second. I also outlined problems that Community Fibre was having with a contractor they were using, and that contractor of course was Kelly's. They did the install at my parents' house, and they also did the install at my friend's house. And both times Kelly's messed up pretty much at every turn, and they made Community Fibre look really bad. And in that video I recommended that Community Fibre probably should stop using Kelly's because they are wrecking their reputation. So the first thing that I am so happy to report is that it looks like Community Fibre no longer uses Kelly's. I am not seeing any reports of them using Kelly's recently, and I've also spoken to a few people that have had Community Fibre installed in the last few months, and all of those installations were done by Community Fibre themselves and not Kelly's. Installations should be a lot smoother now than they used to be because Kelly's does seem to be out of the picture, and I think that's good news for everyone. Another problem that Community Fibre had back then was that they had no customer portal on their website, so you couldn't sign in, check your bill, check your account. You couldn't do most of the things that you can do with other providers. I'm happy to report that that also has been rectified. Now you have like a customer portal where you can log in, you can raise issues, you can see service status, all that sort of stuff. It's a lot better and way more feature rich than it used to be. So everything in that regard has moved in the right direction. Customer service wise, there are still a few hiccups here and there. We will get to that. The main thing that I do want to look at right now is what deals they have right now, what speeds they're offering, what you should probably go for, and then I'll tell you what my experience has been in the last year and a half, what issues I've had, and what speed I am on at the moment, and what problem I ran into when switching to that speed. Because they did make a mistake, which I had to complain about. So let's jump into it. This is the Community Fibre website right now. I'm filming this on August 26th. It's a Tuesday, and these are the deals that they're offering right now. So as you can see, I'm on the recommended tab, and they have a promotion going on right now where you get double the speed for the same price, and this promotion is going on until the 7th of September. But before you sign up, I have to let you know, use my referral link in this video's description and you will get 50 to 100 pounds in vouchers depending on the promo they have going whenever you sign up. Anyways, looking at these deals, like I said, they have a double speed promotion going on right now. Honestly, this is brilliant, and it's actually a better deal than what I switched to a month ago. So I might have to go and query this and see if they can put me on one of these deals, because these deals are really good. So starting off, if you're a casual user and you just use your internet for simple browsing, social media, maybe Netflix here and there, and your property isn't massive, then maybe go for this one here. £23 a month, you get 1 gigabits per second download speed. It's a really good deal. I mean, even for £25 a month here, you can up that to 2 gigabits per second. But again, only go for the standard packages if your property isn't big, or if you already own a mesh Wi-Fi network. then go for one of these two. Once this deal ends, then I still think £25 a month for 1 gigabits per second is really good, and that's the one that I would recommend to most people. Now, if you are tech savvy and you live in a property that is quite large and you don't already own a mesh Wi-Fi network, then I recommend going for one of these two. Now, you can get 1 gigabits per second premium Wi-Fi. That means that they will give you a mesh Wi-Fi network and they'll also come to your house to set it up for you, and they guarantee whole home coverage for your Wi-Fi. I think that's a really good deal, and everything is included in this for £32 a month. Again, 1 gigabit per second is enough for most people, and you do quite well with this. But there is another issue that they don't tell you about, which is something that affected me when I switched to a different package. And the one that I switched to was 2.5 gigabits per second for £39 a month. This promotion didn't exist when I did that, so now for £39 a month you can get 5 gigabits per second, which is insane, and I think this is a pretty incredible speed. So you notice how here it says premium Wi-Fi? Well, one thing that I found out when switching to this from my 3 gigabits per second package, by the way, the 3 gigabits per second package no longer exists. You have 100 megabits per second, 300 megabits per second, both are doubled right now with this promotion, 500 megabits per second, then a gigabit, 2.5 gigabit, and then 5 gigabit. Yeah, so anyways, 3 gigabits per second doesn't exist anymore. So when my renewal came up, I was paying £60 a month for 3 gigabits per second. But then when I went on their website for my renewal, I noticed that they had 2.5 gigabits per second for £39 a month. So I'd be saving £21 a month. And the reason I didn't mind going down to 2.5 gigabits per second was because my home network is running at 2.5 gigabits per second. In the review that I did for Community Fibre a year and a half ago, I did show you which network switches I'm using in my house. To fully leverage this ultra fast internet, I upgraded my home network with switches supporting a 10 gigabits per second backhaul with 2.5 gigabits per second ports, ensuring that I could actually take advantage of the speed I was paying for. Affiliate links will be included in the description for the network switches that I'm using. So dropping down from 3 to 2.5 for me makes basically no difference, because that's the speed that my internal network is running at anyways. So it was a no-brainer, I switched to that. If the promo existed where I could get 5 gigabits per second for the same price, obviously I would have done that, but then I think they would have had to change my Technicolor router, which I am a little bit iffy about, because that router for me for the last year and a half has been solid, and I don't really want to change something that's not broken. So maybe I'll just stay on 2.5 gigabits per second and just be happy, because I have no issue with the speed I'm getting right now. It's actually incredible. If you want the network switches that I'm using, and if they're still available on Amazon, those will be linked down in the video description as well. So I did mention that if you did go for one of these standard packages or slower speeds, that there is another issue that they don't tell you about. Now, that issue that someone also pointed out in the review from a year and a half ago is that if you go for one of these slower speeds, or if you go for 2.5 gigabits per second and it's not premium Wi-Fi, if you just go for the standard one here for £35 a month, they put you on something called CGNAT. If you go for a premium one, then you are not on CGNAT. Now you might be wondering, hey, what the hell is CGNAT? Well, I could explain it to you, or I could give you a quick breakdown on here. So this is GROC, and CGNAT stands for Carrier Grade Network Address Translation. Now, a lot of you people will be thinking, what the hell does that mean? Now, a really simple way to explain this is everyone is assigned an IP address, right? But there's a limit to how many IP addresses are available on something called IPv4. We are all moving over to IPv6. And look, it's a whole thing. I don't want to get too technical in this video. All I will say is that some ISPs, like Community Fibre, for their slower speeds, use something called CGNAT, where they'll have a pool of houses, possibly on your road or in your general area, which are connected to a single IP address, and they share that IP address. Now, when you're on CGNAT, most people won't notice, but some people will notice, especially if they're using their internet connection for certain things. Now, there are drawbacks to CGNAT, and those are on your screen right now, like limited port forwarding, increased latency and performance issues, difficulty with peer-to-peer applications, IP reputation and blocking issues, challenges for Internet of Things devices and smart home stuff, privacy and tracking concerns, limited control over network configuration, and compatibility issues with some services. Now, the reason why I noticed that they had put me on CGNAT when I transferred to 2.5 gigabits per second was because my wife works from home and she uses some software which never had an issue before. But then when the switchover happened from 3 gigabits per second to 2.5 gigabits per second, that software stopped working and she couldn't connect. So I went into my router settings and I saw that the IP address assigned to it was one that was for CGNAT. And the reason I knew that was because if your IP address on your router is in this range right here, so if it's in that range, 100.64.0.0 to 100.127.255.255, if your IP address in your router is in that range, that means that you have been assigned to CGNAT, and that's why you might be having some issues. Now, when I saw that, I knew that there was a problem, because when I agreed to move from 3 gigabits per second down to 2.5 gigabits per second, I specifically said that I do not want to be on CGNAT. I want to have my own IP address. Now, when I confirmed that with them on the phone, they said that I will have my own IP address and I won't be on CGNAT. Obviously, something went wrong somewhere and they put me on CGNAT. So I had to complain using that portal I mentioned earlier, and they got back to me within a couple of days via email. And a day or two after that, they switched me over to having my own IP address and I was no longer on CGNAT and everything was fine. Now, if you look over here, what they told me after I complained was that I had been put on to the standard 2.5 gigabits per second plan, which is on CGNAT, but what they should have put me on was premium, which doesn't have CGNAT. Do you see how this is confusing and how casual users or casual customers won't have any idea what the hell is going on here? So if you are signing up, request that you are not on CGNAT if that's something that you think might affect you, and sign up for one of their premium packages, which do cost a little bit more. But if you are online gaming, or if you are hosting a server at your house, or if you have lots of devices in your house that you need to connect to from outside your house, maybe being on CGNAT is something that you should avoid, and you should go for one of the premium packages that will help you avoid all of those issues in the future. So that's one issue that I had with them, but luckily they resolved it within like a week of me sending them a message on their customer portal as a complaint. And then everything was fine. And now everything's working great and I don't have to worry about it. Another thing is, a year and a half ago, there weren't many reviews for them as far as I can remember, because they were still quite new. So if you look at their reviews now on Trustpilot, they have 70,000 reviews and they have 4.7 out of 5. And if you drill down to those reviews, 90% of the 70,000 reviews are 5 stars and 5% are 1 star. That is amazing. This is one of the highest ratings I've ever seen on Trustpilot. And you know what? I totally agree with it. The downtime I've had in the last year and a half with Community Fibre, one time it went down for 2 days, but I don't think that was their fault. Something went wrong in the external network. And then maybe 2 or 3 times in the last year and a half, it's been down for 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the night, once during the day. Look, compare that to Virgin Media, which I had before Community Fibre. Virgin Media for me would go down like 3 times a week. It would be slow consistently. The customer service sucked. The router sucked. The new router that they replaced my old router with sucked. Everything about Virgin Media sucked. Community Fibre, on the other hand, I mean, going down 3 or 4 times max in the last 18 months to 2 years is incredible. And even then, when it did go down, only one of those times was like a severe outage. So honestly, in terms of reliability, I think this speaks for itself. 4.7 out of 5, 70,000 reviews, and they reply to 98% of negative reviews, usually within 24 hours. That shows you that they're on the ball, they care about their customers, and if you do have a negative experience, they're right there within a day to try to help you. And honestly, that's all that matters to me. The speed has been consistently good. I'm still using the Technicolor router to do all of my routing, and then I have the Linksys mesh network that does all of the Wi-Fi 6 stuff. And all of the details about that stuff I talked about in my last review from a year and a half ago. Nothing has really changed since then, so that review still applies. All that doesn't apply from that review is that Kelly's is no longer a problem. The customer portal now exists, so you don't have to worry about it. Customer service has been pretty amazing and I haven't had any issues. And the current deals they have going on are just amazing. So if you are on the market and you do live in an area where Community Fibre can serve your property, I highly recommend that you take advantage of this new deal. And if you are quite a techie person, you can get 5 gigabits per second for £39 a month with guaranteed Wi-Fi coverage throughout your whole house without being on CGNAT. And if you use my referral link in the video description, you get another £50 to £100 back in vouchers. It's a no-brainer. It really is. Double the speed. Ends on the 7th of September. I've never seen them do this deal before. This promotion is pretty insane and I suggest you go for it. It's brilliant. Another thing, my parents and my friend who signed up for Community Fibre after me are still with Community Fibre and they've hardly had any issues. My parents had downtime twice, I think, in the last year and a half. So it's been pretty solid and they keep on singing us praises. And they're on the 1 gigabits per second plan, which does have CGNAT. But because they don't use their broadband for anything technical, it's not an issue and it's completely fine. So to sum up, should you get Community Fibre in 2025? Definitely freaking yes. It is the best broadband provider I have ever used and I genuinely can't recommend it enough. Their speed has been consistently good. Their customer service has improved in the last year and a half. They seem to care more than they used to. They're not using Kelly's anymore. They offer even faster speeds now for even less money. It was already cheap and now it's even cheaper. And you can still use my referral link to get another £50 to £100 back after you sign up. It's excellent.
Excellent. Excellent. They're excellent.
Dang.
Anyways, I think that's all I have to say about Community Fibre. I don't really have anything to complain about, which is weird for me, I have to admit. And that brings me to the end of this review. If you found this review helpful or informative in any way, please do hit like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Don't forget to use my referral link in the video description to get some money back after you sign up. And I've also put some Amazon affiliate links in the video description too for things that I use around the house and in the studio. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. You've been watching This Brown Geek. I'll catch you in the next one.